right, Ottomans. I just did that one little video about office chairs and all of their specifics, and I did recommend Ottomans. So here we are, and I'm at Happy Amazon, and well, what do we really have? We happen to have the classic Ottoman. Now, this is not a square, but it's a round, a basic round. It's kind of velveteen. It's beautiful. This is a really pretty one. It's very chic. It kind of, when you're starting to get into your look, what are your colors? You gotta, if your chair is cream, you might want a cream colored Ottoman also. If your chair is green, you want a green Ottoman. So yeah, try to match the colors. And this one is a little femmy, of course. It's got these nice little, what do we call these? Swags. They're kind of called swags in a way sometimes. Yeah, they used to put them on lamps, all kinds of things like that. Now, over here is just a regular poof pillow. Do we want a regular poof pillow? In a way, they're kind of nice, but are they supportive enough? See, this one's going to be very supportive, and it really is classed as, furniture, and it has been practically, this is Victorian or even before that. This maybe goes back to the colonial ages. So this type of style is just, it's been around, and it's very, very reliable as a piece of furniture. Now, whereas this, I don't know. You might even find this one is just a tosser after a while, and you're just like, ugh, just get rid of it. I changed the color or something. And whereas this one, you're like, no, it really is something that you might want to keep for years and years and years. So when you're buying the Ottoman, think about how reliable or how long you want to keep it, really, because. And also, look at this one. Oh, holy moly. We have an Ottoman that is like a hat box. The old hat boxes, you put a big hat in here. So, yeah, for storage. That is so cute. That is very clever. Now, you're going to see a lot of those on this particular page where they made them for storage. Now, this one particularly I don't like because I think it's going to rock and move too much, but this one is very interesting. And yeah, I'm still thinking about it sinks too much. This is just like a big pillow, so I wouldn't go that route. Here is another style, and with all of the Ottomans, you need to measure at home. You actually just get a measurer and measure where you want your feet, and put something up, a stack of I don't know, books or something, really tall, and see where you're the most comfortable, because this is really your recliner. So this is when you're putting your legs up. So at that moment, do you want it 20 inches off the ground? Do you want it, even higher? Do you want it lower? All of those are to consider. So when you're looking at any of these, look at that. It has and they all have little compartment there, and you can put things in there. That is darling. I really like this one. It's a little furry puffy one. What else do you have? What else do we have here? No, this one is kind of more like, hey, this is tough guy. They're calling it a leatherette. I'm not sure if it's real leather, but yeah, this one is more for a guy, I would say. But yeah. I don't get them. Well, they're making them tables now. I wouldn't go as a table. This is just supposed to be under your desk. Okay. This is another classic Ottoman right here, isn't it? Another. Oh, they call them like the pill box shape, I guess. I always think the squares or the rectangles are pretty nice. Okay, we're gonna head up to I understand the premise of this one because they're trying to make it a fold-out bed. Also, all of a sudden, hey, we have a bed. You can spend the night. Okay, so that type I understand. However, and then we have storage for your luggage. So it's all there in the table. But this is really for the home office. So that's going to be a little too big, I believe, in most respects, unless you wanted it to be dual purpose and say, hey, well, I use that in my home office, but I have guests over, so I'll just, drag that into the guest room or whatever. You could do that to be, I don't know, thrifty. Here's another one, that style. There's regular. There's just like a regular, the fold out. To me, this is going to be on the floor. Excuse me. You're going to knock it over in like 5 minutes. I think it's very nice, but is it really heavy enough and weighted down? It just looks to me, it looks too rickety. So I hate to diss it. It is nice. It's a clean look, but in the same token, I think it's going to fall over. Whereas I'm thinking just much more substantial. A much more substantial look is better way to go. And oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I have a small interruption. I wasn't supposed to have interruptions during my show. And of course I have 5 text messages right now. It's just the way life goes, isn't it? Okay, so I really like this one, but that's nothing to do with office chair. We're dealing with an Ottoman. And this is classic right here. This is one that's high, and is it going to be the right color with your chair? And because we're doing the regular office chair, like I just showed you that pet one, it's probably gonna work with it, but it would have to be a cream color. And does it lift off? Does it have storage? That might be another question with it. But it's $2.99, so it is a little bit more expensive, that one. Oh, I mean, these are okay, but they just look, they almost look cheap, and they almost look like, it's for the kids' room or whatever, and you're not going to keep it very long, or it's just for this particular interior design, you know what I'm saying? And maybe you design your room every year. It has that kind of look rather than something with more stability. And this is a nice one as well. However, be aware, you might kick it over. There's another one. So here we are looking at this. Here's a cloud bean bag chair with the Ottoman. Well, no, we're not doing that. I know some people do have their laptops this way, and they hang out in those, and that's pretty nice. But I personally can't be online that way. I think that's just too difficult. Maybe I'm just not that mobile or something. I have to always be in a chair and sitting upright, like I'm on a hot seat. So I like these ones also. These are longer, and they much more storage. You could probably put all of any like cables and cords, anything for your computer in one of these. Now they're only 15.7 inches tall, so that's always something to consider. But these are really nice, and they would go the whole length underneath your desk. But make sure you measure it. Make sure you have 43 inches underneath your desk, because this goes right underneath your desk. And there has to be room for your legs as well. This is a pretty good one here. It looks sturdy. It's kind of feminine. What else? What else do we have here? All of these are nice. These are like, you could almost put it as a window seat as well. So if you want a dual purpose, the longer ones are quite interesting for that. The bench style. Now here's another one. It doesn't have rollers. It's just flat on the ground. And you might not like that because for cleaning, that's a kind of annoying. You would have to go right up against that all the time, and probably the edges will get dirty faster. So if you can lift it up off the ground a little bit, yeah, and all the contents might be heavy to move, so I would almost stay away from that as something that was underneath your desk. What else have we got? Let's look. Yeah, so this one's actually kind of a winner, but it is massive. And this one I like. Okay, so that's just a regular pillow, but it's on some kind of stability there. It does look a little bit like, well, I don't know if the maid left the pillow there. So I like it for comfort, but as an aesthetic look, it does look like the maid just left the pillow on the ottoman. So maybe not after a while if you covered it with something, but then that defeats the point, doesn't it? Okay, so here's a classic. Here's your chair with the ottoman, but you know that doesn't go. That doesn't go with most. This particular style is quite modern looking, and it really fits with that chair. So I think you don't really want one to be two-toned with too much wood element. You really just want the same color as your chair in match, and kind of make the legs themselves more incognito, and yet there. So I guess I'm gonna almost go with these longer ones, these velvet storage ones. They're kind of nice because they're long enough, they can fit underneath the table, and your feet are not just poised on one spot. You can move them over here, move them there. I think these are going to be, for me, the hit of this Seek Out page, and they're calling them the Ottoman bench, and they're actually not that expensive, and most likely you can find them in most colors. If you really need something high, this one looks like a very tall one. Anyway, so yeah, let's think about these Ottoman benches. And you'll have to do a lot of measuring to make sure they're the right size. And what was another favorite of mine out of this whole bunch? I did like this funny one. It was kind of furry. There's some more Ottoman benches, the velvet storage. We were down here at the very bottom, back to the classic, practically near Victorian look. That was very nice. Right there. Look at that. That is just luxury, isn't it? It's very nice. Okay, fringe. It's got the fringe. All right, thank you.